Ethan Cole was the kind of boy people barely noticed. His sneakers were scuffed, his hair never quite stayed in place, and his voice cracked at the worst possible times. Teachers liked him well enough, but classmates called him invisible. He sat at the back of the cafeteria, sketching superheroes in his notebook while the rest of the school buzzed with laughter. At the center of that buzzing world was Madison Lane, the most popular girl in school. She was captain of the cheer squad, student council president, and the kind of person who seemed to glow when she walked into a room. Everyone wanted her attention, but she gave it sparingly, like sunlight through clouds. Ethan admired her from afar, convinced she lived in a universe he could never touch. One day, fate intervened. Their English teacher announced a semester-long project. Pairs would adapt a classic novel into a modern play. Names were drawn from a hat, and Ethan's heart nearly stopped when he heard Madison Lane and Ethan Cole. The room erupted in whispers. Madison raised an eyebrow, clearly unimpressed, but she didn't protest. At first, Madison treated Ethan like a chore. She scrolled through her phone while he suggested ideas, dismissing his sketches with a shrug. But Ethan didn't give up. He poured himself into the project, rewriting scenes late at night, sketching costumes, and imagining stage sets. Slowly, Madison noticed his passion. One afternoon, she leaned over his notebook and whispered, "You're actually kind of brilliant." That moment changed everything. Madison started showing up prepared, laughing at Ethan's jokes, even asking his opinion on her lines. They spent hours together, rehearsing in empty classrooms, eating pizza while brainstorming, and sharing secrets they'd never told anyone else. Ethan realized Madison wasn't just popular, she was lonely, trapped by expectations. And Madison realized Ethan wasn't invisible, he was authentic, someone who saw her beyond the glitter. The night of the performance arrived. The auditorium was packed. Ethan, usually terrified of crowds, stepped onto the stage with Madison by his side. Their play was raw, funny, and heartfelt. When the curtain fell, the audience erupted in applause. Madison grabbed Ethan's hand, raised it high, and shouted, "This guy made it all happen." For the first time, Ethan wasn't invisible, he was seen. Afterward, as the crowd dispersed, Madison pulled him aside. "You know," she said softly, "I've had guys chase me for years, but none of them ever listened the way you do. None of them ever made me feel real." She smiled, the kind of smile that made Ethan's chest ache. "So what do you say? Want to sit with me at lunch tomorrow?" Ethan blinked, stunned. The loser boy, the invisible kid, had somehow captured the heart of the most popular girl in school, not by pretending to be someone else, but by being himself. The next day, when Ethan walked into the cafeteria, Madison waved him over. The room fell silent as he sat beside her. For once, the whispers didn't matter. He wasn't invisible anymore. He was Ethan Cole, the boy who got the girl, not because of luck, but because he dared to show her the truth of who he was. And Madison? She didn't care about being popular anymore. She cared about the boy who made her laugh, who believed in her, and who reminded her that sometimes the best stories aren't about the heroes everyone notices. They're about the ones who finally get noticed. But he wasn't forgotten either. He was popular, though not that popular. The kind of name people mentioned because of who he had been with rather than who he was. Madison had been the most popular girl, the one everyone wanted, the one whose presence could turn heads and silence rooms. And Lucas had been with her. That fact alone kept his name alive, kept him from fading completely into the background. People didn't talk about his failed role as much as they talked about how Madison had chosen him, how she had stayed when others would have left. To them it was confusing, almost unbelievable that she would want him when she could have anyone. But to Madison it was simple. She didn't care about the rankings, the gossip, or the shifting tides of popularity. She cared about Lucas, the boy behind the headlines, the boy who laughed too hard at his own jokes, the boy who carried both pride and insecurity in equal measure. And Lucas, though he knew the world saw him as less, found strength in her loyalty.